Happy Chanukah, everybody, and here's a Chanukah Dvar Torah for the very big finale of Zor Chanukah, the 8th day. Now listen, people generally say that what were the Greeks all about? People say the Greeks were all about the guf, physical stuff. They made the Olympics, they would have gymnastics, they built a gymnasium, like a place to learn athletics in Yerushalayim. That's very offensive. They'd be naked. They were all into the body. That's fair. However, the fact is that the Greeks were also famous for a whole other thing. What's that whole other thing? They were in things like philosophy. Aristotle, Socrates, Plato. So they're not all about the body. They're also a lot about the mind. So now we have to have a new understanding of how the Greeks work. And what was the conflict between the Jews and the Greeks? If you look in the book Derech Hashem by the Ramchal, he has one paragraph and one paragraph only about Hanukkah. And in that paragraph he says that on Hanukkah, what we celebrate is the Kohanim defeating the Greeks, and we celebrate the menorah and what it stands for. He doesn't talk about the Nes Pach Shemen as such, but he talks about the menorah, whatever the menorah stands for, even though he doesn't say what the menorah stands for. And it's interesting that he calls the Maccabim over and over, not Maccabim, not Chashmonaim, but Kohanim. What is the whole idea that they're Kohanim? So now we'll understand everything. Rav Kook points out that the Greeks, their belief was, they did believe in the whole body thing, but they also believed in the mind. But they felt that there were two paths that a person could take. You could either be totally dedicated to Gashmius, or you could be totally dedicated to Ruchniut. But there's no concept of mixing. You want to be an athlete, you be an athlete. But you're going to be like a dumb jock athlete. Like in America, how you think about an athlete. But if you're going to be a philosopher, then you go all the way and be a philosopher and you forget about the body. But then they come to the Jewish people, and they're all mixed up, and they say, what are you guys doing? You're mixing this and that. It doesn't make any sense. Think of the Gzerot. What were the Gzerot that the Greeks did, Antiochus did against the Jews? No bris milah. Because they couldn't figure, what is bris milah? You're saying that's kadosh and it's in the body? You're mixing things. It doesn't make any sense. Rosh Chodesh they don't like. Why Rosh Chodesh? It's an astronomical phenomenon and you're making it spiritual. You can't mix nature and supernature. It doesn't make any sense to the Greeks. Therefore, what's the important message of Hanukkah? That it's the Kohanim, they're the ones who fight the Greeks. Why? Because if you imagine a Kohen is a holy person. And if you're a non-Jewish Kohen, then what do? You live in a monastery, you read books all day, you can't get married, you're totally separated from Gashmius. But if you're a Jewish Kohen, what kind of Kohen are you? You're a tough guy, you're walking around with a sword, and you're killing Greeks. So here you have the Kohen who's a mixture of the most spiritual kind of person, and on the other hand, a tough guy, the most physical type of person. It's like Pinchas was the model of that kind of a Kohen. So that's why it's the Kohanim Dafka who are showing these Greeks, because they're saying, listen, we are the mix, that's our deal. And now you also understand what the menorah represents, because the menorah has 7 stalks. The menorah has 7 stalks. So if you look at it, and it's made with kaftorim, right, those like knobs and all these like doodads on it, and you look at it, and if it's 7 stalks and it has like these doodads in the middle, then it looks like, okay, people made parts and like welded it all together. But the menorah we know is very special because it's made out of kikar zahav, and it's mikshe. It's made out of one solid piece. So it looks like it's made out of multiple pieces of gold, but in fact, it's all one giant chunk of gold that's molded. Its appearance looks many bifurcated, but the reality is it's a unity. That's the message against the Greeks. You think that life is different ways, there's this stalk or that stalk, and you can somehow mush it together. No, it's all one thing. It might look like different things, but it's all a unity. That's then the message of Hanukkah. That while in the non-Jewish world, it cannot be understood how physical things can be raised up to be kadosh, the Jewish people, that's our bread and butter. That's exactly what we believe about everything, and that is the message of Hanukkah, and that's the exact battle and conflict between the Jewish Hanukkah philosophy and the Greek Hellenistic approach. All right, happy Hanukkah, everybody. Be good.